We're live. Hello, everyone. How you doing? Please let me know if you can hear me okay, because I am worldwide famous for fucking up live streams. So let me know if we are live, and we can start this. All right. So, okay, cool. And you guys can also see the chat. I can see, yeah, the chat is there. Okay, all right. Let's say we're live. Thank you. Mike is on the left. Oh, fuck, I don't, it's weird. Mike is only on the left to do it, because I'm going through my Moto interface and it's a freaking mess. Just bear with me. You will hear me only on the left for today. I will figure it out at some point. Maybe I will come up. What the fuck is he doing? And it should be, it shouldn't be like a mono anything. Down mix to mono. Tell me I did it. Huh? See? If I did it, it means that I'm like a good sound engineer. All right. SSL. Yeah. So let me know if now it's sum to mono. It should be sum to mono. It worked. Someone give me a Grammy for this. About time, huh? Anyway, hello everyone. This is it is completely unplanned, like all my live streams. So that you guys are awesome, are always coming in. Do you have it in the studio? What cables? I have a lot of shit here, and then half of it I don't know where it is because I have too much shit. Bus Plus. What do you guys think? I also watched the video release, and it's an interesting unit. Came out, and of course it was NDA, so we couldn't say anything. But now that it is out, we can talk about that today. We can talk about anything you want, because today I'm actually working on Bella's vocal pack, which is turning absolutely awesome. Like, it makes me want to get it. But it's really cool. There's gonna be volume 1 and volume 2. The first is gonna be I think what most people would expect from the pack, which is like her soft voice and words here and there and short phrase and sentences. All, some of them are spoken words, some of them are sang. It's really cool. And there's all dry and some effects, some light effects, both. And then volume 2 is gonna be instead song starters. So full melodies that you can chop off or can use whole, and both dry, and also I did for each sample, I did 4 to 5 really crazy effects, like future cyberpunk kind of effects. Is like really cool. I can't wait to release it. It's gonna be on Loop Cloud, so it's gonna be awesome. And I'm also gonna give away some copies to members. And Mark T, we have a donation, and of course, guys, if you want your question to be answered first, use the super chat. You also help the channel. You also help me to be more able to do this live stream for you. Mark T, thank you so much. Your question goes first. You've cost me money watching your videos. Well, you're not the only one. I've always end up buying you a unit. First the Fusion, then the Mag. I'm praying for my bank balance and marriage that this new unit from SSL is terrible. I feel you. You're not the only one. A lot of my students and members and all of that blame me for their expenses. But guys, I want to believe that on the channel I really and somewhat present to people really cool shit. You have no idea how many you know, features or video requests I turn out because I don't believe in the product. So I hope that every dime you spent because of me, you know, it turned out to be a good investment. Let's put it this way, you know. All right, all right. But yeah, let's start. And thank again Mark T for the donation, guys. If you want your question to pop up first, again, use the super chat. It will pop up first. I'll reply first, and of course you also have the channel. Jay, David, black box analog design HG2 hardware versus plugin alliance. Well, because last night I recalibrated my the unit for the top end roll. It comes out from the factory with a pretty massive, you know, top end roll off that goes down to 2 dB and a half at 20 and about 1 dB at 10K, starts at 10K. And it's on purpose, of course. I actually talked to Eric. I'm friend with Eric Racy, one of the two guys that are part of Analog Design. And he's a friend of mine, great engineer too. And I asked him, you know, I was like, you know, it's okay. It's kind of a bit dark for me when I A/B, you know, at very conservative levels. And he explained. For me, it was I tried to go halfway, and it was already too bright. He was actually right. So I just backed it off a little bit. Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is maximum roll off, now I have it at 8. So it's a little less. It's an amazing unit. If you saw the inside, the guts that I posted on Instagram, you can just, that picture will be so close to something like this. This is the climax of analog gear. It's got like fat transformers in it and tubes. That's literally, and it's not a compressor, it's not an EQ, it's just a analog, pure analog color box. If you take away the analog part of it, you can get the gist of it with a plugin, but of course it's night and day. It's night and day, and maybe I'll do a test, maybe not. You know, I'm not a fan of PA. I very much dislike the company. It's not a secret, and I have my reasons for it. Maybe someday I'll say it or not. I don't know. But even if you do a comparison test on YouTube, it doesn't matter the quality of YouTube. It's not, you only get part of the picture of what is to use the HG2 analog for mixing or mastering. It is such a field box. You don't look at anything, basically. You just don't look at anything. You just go by feel. And more than any other piece of gear, the HG2 is like that. More than any other compressor, more than any EQ, you just zoom out from whatever it's in front of you, and you just go by feel. Something that is not really easy to explain in a video comparison. With that said, it's pretty obvious the difference with the plugin. But again, maybe I'll do it, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. SSL Fusion is one of my favorite piece of hardware. I have a feeling the Bus Plus is going to cost me in a good way. Well, okay, so let's talk about this Bus Plus. So what do we know is they kind of crammed all the features that other compressors had already, right? They definitely took inspiration from the NG West Audio, right? But on the other hand, the West G, the NG is an SSL style compressor, so they definitely added the coloration. For what I heard from the video, the color on that box seems fairly mild, and let's say compared to the NG, the NG goes from completely transparent to absolutely nasty if you turn the THD all the way up. And plus we have an additional transformers in it, so it's a bit, you know, they definitely took, hold on, I need to take this. Hello, sir. I am live streaming right now at this moment, so I'm answering your question live. Your phone call live. SSL just released the new bus compressor, the G Plus. Don't just go buy it. Okay, well I will, but how about we try it before you just go and buy it? Probably, yeah. I'm gonna like it. I mean, that's just kind of easy. I mean, I have the you like the Fusion already, so. Okay. 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 Well, I'm here anyway. I mean, you can always send the stuff to me. I'll. Bye. Sorry, guys, but I have to take Chris calls. Anyway, we were saying they added on the Bus Plus the THD that is somewhat variable. I like better a fully variable like this than that, to be honest, but I also didn't try it yet. And it can get clean. It has the gray face character, the THD and all. I'm curious about the dynamic EQ, of course. Now, I really will want to try it first because it's great to have versatility, and that compressor looks like it's very versatile for sure. But I kind of have the feeling that they try to cram a lot of stuff in it, just like let's try to solve every possible problem that you can have in a mix with the 2-bus compressor. And I'm not sure. We'll see. Yeah. And what is there in that EQ? The one thing is very smart on that SSL. They use the VU meters as a visual reference of where you set the frequencies for the dynamic EQ. That's brilliant. That hats off to SSL. That's really cool. That's really cool. Although, generally speaking, I'm not a fan of having too many hidden features. I like to have. That's why analog. One of the good things about analog, everything is in front of you. But some hidden features are okay, you know. And of course, there's the first question that asks SSL Plus, Bus Plus versus the West Audio Mastering. Okay, so let's talk about this. At first look, I would not trade the NG with the SSL Bus. Let me tell you why. First of all, the digital recall. SSL went a good length to have their pots very precise and digitally controlled. Now, why not go all the way and give us full digital control and recalls like the West Audio? That alone, for me, the West Audio wins. That alone. Both are SSL circuits. So just for the digital recalls alone, the West Audio, the color options of the West, I did not try the one for the SSL. But also, think about this. For someone like me that already has a lot of gear, and a lot of gear has color on it, and I also have a Fusion, which is a color box. I have the HD2 is a color box. I have a bunch of like colored units like the Fatsos and the Empress and more. I'm not sure I want, you know, and I already have another compressor. I'm not sure I want that on. Also, like I said, it seemed kind of mild, the color, which is fine. You know, on a 2-bus compressor, you don't want a freaking fuzz box. The dynamic EQ section is interesting. We'll see how it is in use. What else there is? They have this some stereo on the side chain as opposed to classic stereo that will help with the stereo image, because the SSL, the G compressor, used to narrow the image a little bit. So we'll see if that happens. You can also use it in dual mono, which is great. and I often use 2-bus compressor in dual mono and mid-side. And yeah, ask me question. I mean, I don't remember everything about the video because I really look at it like really quick. But we can also talk about anything else. So if you guys want your question to pop up first, use the super chat, and it's much appreciated as well. Your thoughts on 500 series racks for recording and also mixing? I have a 500 series rack that is amazing. 500 series is not inferior to rack as long as the module are built well, and as long as you have a great rack, aka power supply. Like for example, mine is a West Audio again, and it has a toroidal power supply that is external to the box. It's just big like this, and it just sits far away from the rack, you know, so you don't have interferences. Not. And that's what I would do. That would be my requirement for a 500 series rack. I don't like the 500 series rack to have the power supply inside, you know, because that will probably cause some interference with some preamps and stuff. You bought one this morning, you Alexander Stewart. You bought the new SSL bus. Good for you. How the dynamic EQ works? Just high frequency, low frequency without regulation? No, they actually have regulation. That's what I was talking about earlier. They have several choices for the frequency corner for the low band dynamic EQ, and they also have same for the high band, and the high band can be turned from shelf to bell. So that would be interesting. That's probably interesting. Remember, when we talk about dynamic EQ, you have a limited attack and release, but they did very well on paper on that one because they added 3 different sets of attack and release from fast to slow for each band. So that's really cool. And it's all by pressing the button once and then pressing the button twice, and then they have the plus and minus. I think they engineered it on the engineering on paper. It's pretty impressive. SSL seems to, you know, have done. We disconnected. I hope you guys can see me still. Let's see. I got an alert. Okay, we should be good. Anyway, for SSL, I was saying to manufacture in China is kind of mandatory unless you want to pay that compressor $6,000. Because remember, SSL, you still pay a little bit of brand name. And the brand name is also insurance that that unit is a high-end unit. I don't think the made in China thing has much importance at this point anymore. You know, I don't think it's a big factor. Let's put it this way. Do I prefer made in US gear or made in house from a company like I don't know, Manly or West Audio, or, you know, yeah, for sure. But also, if you want a compressor from SSL like that, at the end of the day, it's priced what, 2,800? It's not that much. I was actually expecting that compressor to be 3.5 at least. So, I mean, there's a trade-off. Like the Fusion is probably, I think it's assembled in China as well. It's a absolutely solid product. Knobs are solid, you know, switches are amazing. The unit looks amazing. Its faceplate is thick as fuck. Look, I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem. If someone was looking at the Fusion, would this be an option to look at as well? Well, not really. I mean, they are so very different. This is a compressor. This is a 2-bus compressor with a lot of features. The SSL Fusion is no compressor at all. Can you put the SSL in insert? Yes, of course. They probably build it. I mean, it looks the same, so obviously they build it with the intention of kind of, you know, making the two complementary to each other. But if you need the Fusion, you don't look at the SSL Bus Plus and the other way around, because the Fusion is everything but a compressor, you know. So in that sense, not really. They're not interchangeable in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, what kind of bus compressor you use? I have several bus compressor. I have my main one is the West Audio mastering compressor. I have the the Heritage successor. I have the West Audio RIA. I have the Fatso. I have two Fatsos. Sometimes one goes on the 2 bus, and I also have, well, the Expressor I'm not using on the 2 bus, but yeah, I'm also waiting for another gigantic compressor. There is going to be also another option for 2 bus. There's going to be on this rack here on my right, which is empty right now, and is going to be fully loaded as soon as that unit comes. So I have several. Do you use multiband compressor on a master bus a lot? No, 1% of the time. Multiband compression is something that is not a default, and it's not common practice unless the mix has a problem. So the multiband compression is meant to solve and fix problems, is not a go-to. Yeah, like I said, Fusion is definitely I think all the gear from SSL is assembled in China, which is fine. Like I said, I had the Fusion for years right now, and it's absolutely solid. I don't think there's absolutely anything wrong at this point with assembling in China. Is not an indication of the quality of a product if it comes from a company like SSL. Now if it comes from a company that is like, I don't know, I don't even want to say anything because it's not true. There's some even Chinese companies that make great stuff at a good price. So yeah, let's see. Alexei Soloviev, thank you so much. Okay. Have you ever considered trying the SSL UC1? I'm sure you would love it, especially with the SSL channel strip and the SSL 360 software. I bought into the Softube Console 1 universe, and I absolutely love it. It would be right now. I'm not really interested in changing controller and changing platform that way because yeah, the SSL UC1 might be cool, but it's just the SSL. With the console one, I have a Neal console, I have Chandler, I have Empirical Labs, I have SSL 9000, 4000, and whatever else I have. They have the Summit channel strip. They have the device bundle. So it's so much more versatile, than just that. Will you be using Black Box for hip hop and dance master bus? Yeah. It's there's no genre depending the Black Box. It's just a matter of how you set it, because like I was saying at the beginning of this live stream, is a 100% steel box, and there's no you never know what are going to be the settings. I mean, yes, it has a couple of sweet spots, but you never really know what the settings are going to be. It's so freaking versatile. I would have never thought the HE2 would be so versatile. It's incredibly versatile. So it's a matter of knowing how to gain stage the unit and just learn it, and then absolutely yes, you can use it on hip hop and dance. Some people say, oh, the low end tubes in general can fold on big low ends and bass heavy stuff, which is true. Some tube gear do. That's why I never really had many tube units, and why I'm very picky with my tube units, because I want tube units like this. They have a lot of headroom, They have a lot of versatility and not just that one little tiny narrow sweet spot that if you go a little below or above, it just doesn't sound good. The HG2, it has 50 sweet spot and they are all wide like that. So it's just a matter of settings. I think a lot of people who either tried it or didn't like it, which is fine. I mean, some people cannot like it, but for the low end aspects, it's just simply because they drive it too hard, you know, when it's not meant to be for certain tracks. Outside mix, thanks a bunch for the courses. They're incredibly detailed and helpful. Oh, by the way, I have discount codes for members if you guys want to get my courses on ProMix Academy. I had the guys give me a discount code. It's 20% off on every single course of mine on ProMix Academy. If you were, you know, thinking about buying one and you want a discount and you are a member of the channel, write to the email and we'll get your personal discount. I put the mod card in my 80 Plus today after watching YouTube video. Yeah, it's good that they found a solution for that. It was a little annoying of a problem. How good is the black box is needed? It depends. What do you do for a living? You mix and master for a living? Then probably yes, it's needed. If you want to be better. It is good. It is mind-blowing good. The HG2 is, I was laughing stupid last night when I, you know, was working on a couple of tracks with it. And after I finished working on the track, I kept trying it on some other stuff because I was like, it's stupid. It just put a smile on my face. It's incredible. It's an incredible unit. Does the black box affects the transient? It affects the transient. It doesn't smear the transient. Any unit like this, so a saturator, a dedicated saturator box, not only, but one of the purposes of it is to give you more RMS, so to give you more density, and it's one of the purposes is also to contain the transients. And differently from a limiter that smears the transient, this is a natural soft clipping coming from the tubes that just reduces the nominal level while increasing the perceived loudness of the material and sometimes increasing punch as well. It's just a matter, again, how to learn how to use it. Don't expect to put it on and everything's gonna sound like a record, because that's not happening. This is the only thing that will make, you know, record, but the tool helps. Have you used the Neve Portico 2 master bus processor? If so, does it rack up compared to the SSL? I do. I did. I answered this question many times. I did try the MVP from Neve. It's not for me. It's a great unit. I'm not a fan of the fact that it has a compressor built in, just because I don't need another compressor. I wanna, if I want it, when I was getting the Fusion, a color box with several functions for the 2 bus and mastering. I was looking for another compressor, and the master bus is basically a compressor with some other functions. I think the master bus shouldn't be compared to the Fusion at all. The master bus should be compared to the SSL G Bus Plus, this one right now. That's a comparison, not with the Fusion, because the Fusion doesn't have a compressor. The main block of the is the compressor. So it is a good unit. Yeah, it is for me. No, because it's a all-in-one in the box, and I don't need all-in-one. I need specific units that are specialized in what they do. So if I want a compressor, I don't want a compressor with limited controls. I want a compressor that is a full-blown total control beast. Same for EQ. I don't want a EQ that is limited controls. I want, you know, a big ass full parametric EQ like my SPL. So it's different. It's I think it's meant it's kind of a compromise between appealing to a professional audience, but at the same time appealing to the guy at home that can only afford one unit. In that case, the MVP becomes a viable option. But it's not comparable to the Fusion. It's comparable to the new SSL G Plus. Yeah. Oh my God, please don't ask me how close the HG2 plugin is to the hardware. It's not close. All right. I mean, it's close. It's look at this. Depends what you. It depends on what you define close. If by close you think of racing a GT500 Cobra against a Civic R close, so like 2 buses apart, then it's close. Otherwise, no, it's not close. Do you see the black box in front or behind compressor? The black box best use is to feed it raw transients. So it would be best to be used before the compressor. Now, the way I have it, because I have it patched on the flock, I can put it anywhere I want. But as a general rule, the HG2 likes transients. If you put a compressor before, you're already messing with those transients, and I don't feel like you use the HG2 to its full potential. So, but this goes for Neves are pre-compressor. My Fusion is pre-compressor, and my HG2 as well. But of all the other saturators that I have, the HG2 is the one that likes transient more than any other. So I would definitely, it will give you the best if you put it first and you let it handle those peaks and transient, because it does it so well, you know, and you gain a lot of headroom and you gain a lot of RMS before even blowing. This unit is absolutely Joseph Pembroke. I am trying to get the questions from you guys members. It's just there's a lot. Samuel Balstin, how much headroom for conversion do you leave for mixing hybrid or mastering with analog gear? 0 dBu in analog world equal to minus 18 dBSF or 12 dBSF. Okay, so the 18 dBSF equals 0 VU is just a guideline. It's just a guideline for where the starting point, not the sweet spot, is on certain analog units. Okay, so those numbers do not take into consideration a chain. It's literally the number that you get in the manual when you buy one unit, and it's specifically for that unit, right? And it doesn't really take into consideration a full chain. Why? Because it's impossible to, you know, to foresee all the possible chains that people can have. So that it's just a guideline, and it's not the sweet spot. It's just the safe place where to start when you know, hit a unit. In my case, VU meter here doesn't really have that much importance for me, because we are still interfacing with digital. So that is the bottleneck, right? I don't have tape, so we use the computer as a tape recorder, so we don't have much use for VU. So my levels are usually all ppm, and I look at those, and I also look at the meters on my hardware. Now, when you ask about the level, the headroom left for mastering, that doesn't really matter in the digital world, and even in a hybrid world, it doesn't, because I can print. Sometimes I print my mix as hot as I need for it to sound good based on my hardware, based on what I hit, you know, on my 2 bus, right? If I'm using the Neves, I know I have to hit them at a certain level which is usually around -6 on the digital meter on Pro Tools, for them to sound at their best, right? If I'm hitting the saturation on the vintage drive, then I have to hit the two buses on a different level. If I use the HD2, it's a different level. And this level varies from -10 to -3, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter like at all on clip. Now, for me, specifically for me, that is not even a rule anymore. Why? Because sometimes I want to hit my 80 plus on the converter on purpose. I want to clip it. So that would be considered 0, but it also has a button that doesn't let it clip on Pro Tools. So I could decide from a style, just an artistic choice, to hit that converter over 0, because I'm doing in the analog world at that point, which result in my mix hitting 0, right? Not clipping, but hitting 0. It doesn't matter, because with 32-bit, 24-bit, you just turn down the volume of that mix if you want to send it a mastering, and let's say you need another 60 dB of headroom, which requires a high-end mastering converter that is specifically tailored to be clipped, like the 80 plus. Manny XO, another one of our members. Yeah, well, so I replied to your questions as well. Okay. If you tried plugin Alliance Flexbox VST version, I'm not answering this question anymore. I answered like 50 times. You all buy hardware to pump out average tracks, focus on creating better music, are a musician or a mix engineer? Because if you're a musician, then you should not bother at all with even looking at hardware. If you're a mix engineer, that's your job, to pump out average tracks or great tracks or shit tracks. Because first of all, what it's average for you could be an amazing track for someone else. I mean, think about it. Every major artist at some point in their career have met someone that said, oh, you're shit, you're not gonna go anywhere, and they got turned down, and then 2 years after they were #1 on Billboard. So before judging other people's music, think about that. And second, again, impression that it's the norm that you write, produce, mix, master, swipe the floor, and repaint your house. But that's not how professionals do, right? Professionals write the music, and actually a lot of artists have a team to write music, then they have a team to write lyrics, then they have a mix engineer, a master engineer, a vocal producer, and a bunch of other people. So, you know, not everyone is in the condition of being home and just doing everything by themselves, because that's not how things are done in the professional world. Hello, David. I would really appreciate a comment about why you use Windows instead of Apple machines. I've been on Windows my whole life. I think that Apple, aside the new Mac that just came out, which seems a good machine and priced fairly, kind of, up until now, I think Apple stuff is overpriced shit. I can't be more blunt than this. They're closed enclosure that you cannot do anything, and for the same amount of money, you can build a PC that is shits on them, you know. And as for the Windows being not being reliable, I think it's bullshit. It's Windows, if you know how to set it and optimize it for audio, and you use your computer just for audio, I never have a crash. Never have a crash. Never. On the other hand, I know countless times there's an update for the software or the OS on Mac, and nothing fucking works. And nothing works for 2 weeks, which I can't even fathom the idea. So that's why. In short, that's why. I just don't like the brand, and I don't like their marketing. I don't like their business. I don't like their views. I don't like anything about Apple. Let's say, you think a new iteration of the SSL Fusion will come around? An SSL Fusion Plus? I was actually thinking about that. It might happen. It might happen that maybe not now. The Fusion is still new, but maybe in a couple of years from now, they will probably come out with a Fusion Plus, which is gonna have, you know, some more features. I bet you this though, mark my word. I bet they are gonna release the dynamic EQ in 500 series. 2 slots. Mark my words, it's gonna be out. They're gonna release the DEQ in 500 series. I bet $1,000 on it. Manny XO, seen the Better Maker stereo passive EQ, by the way. I don't like Better Maker. I've seen it. I'm not interested at all. I'm not a fan of their gear, to be honest. And yeah, that's about it. You know, I already have the Empress EQ. I don't know how the heck you're gonna beat that. If you want a Pultec stereo passive EQ, I don't know how you're gonna beat the Empress. I really don't know. What else? Let's see. Access Analog is a page that you can involve with them. We talked that now. Wasn't interested. No, I mean, why I would try it? I have more gear than they have. Why I would try analog access analog? They literally wanted me to give them like to give them a rack for them to use and stuff. We talked that now years ago, before the pandemic and everything, but I was moving at the time and we didn't do anything together. But no, I mean, why I would try it? I literally have more gear than they have. I love the SSL style. I'm a house and jazz house producer. I use SSL drumstick bus cover. Do you think this is a must-have? I don't think this is a must-have. The bus, nothing is a must-have at this point. You know, it is a great compressor, yeah, and I think it's also priced decent. You know, to be honest, I really was expecting at least 3.5 grand on this. I really was. And I was surprised to see that it was below 3 grand. I think if you are looking for a compressor, this could be a viable option for sure, especially if you like SSL compressor. I still prefer the NG on paper, but yeah. How would you compare the HG2 to the triode pento flavor in the Crane song converters like head? Good question, because I had the head. It doesn't compare. Let me explain you. The head is a processing that it doesn't really have tubes in it, right? First of all, Crane song gear, it's amazing. Dave Hill is a freaking genius, right? With that said, the processing on the head, it's nice sometimes if you use it very, very, very conservatively, like a little bit. While the HD2, you can crank the shit out of this unit and it just makes you smile. So it doesn't really compare, you know. The Crane song, the head is an amazing converter, by the way, but the processing is just, if you want to add just a little bit of that, and it works, sometimes it doesn't. The HD2 is mind blowing because yeah, it's crazy. Actually, you have to hold yourself back because it's easy to overdo because everything sounds like bigger and larger and more dense and everything. I mean, last night I wasted a good hour and a half just smiling and turning knobs on that thing because it's like, I was literally, I kept running mixes through it and I kept saying, you gotta be fucking shitting me the entire time. That's what I was saying. So because is insane. How would you compare okay, I got that. Will you subscribe to UAD Spark? Yes or no in the future? I'm absolutely not interested in it right now. I don't have any use for their plugin, and the only plugin that I like and I wouldn't mind having is their reverbs, the Lexicon reverb, the plate, and a couple of delays that they have. But I actually just got the entire MacDSP bundle, and it's stupid. It's stupid. Maybe we'll do something together with MacDSP, and I'll show you a couple of things. They have some insane stuff. So no, I right now I'm not looking at UAD Spark at all, even because their choices are very limited right now. Like 1176, okay, cool. I have 3 real ones, and I'm getting another one with a tube in it. So no, LA2A, I already have it. You still have the Dion? Yes, I still have the Dion, and I use it pretty much every mix. Do you use the NG bus for mastering, or rather mix down drum bus? Or rather, which glue comp you recommend for mastering as a make comp in the master? Yeah, of course I use the NG for mastering as well. I use it often for mix bus too, but for mix bus I also have other options sometimes, like the RIA, the Varimu, the Successor. Sometimes the Fatso go there. But yeah, it's definitely a mastering compressor for sure. I mean, it can get. Remember, when we talk about mastering compressors, the only, so to speak, definition as to why a mastering compressor is a mastering compressor instead of being a mix compressor is the precise recall and the precise matching left and right, right? That's literally the difference when you buy like a Manley version, mix version versus mastering version. The NG and all the audio, all the West audio gear has digital recall and digital settings. It can be more precise than that. You can't. It's literally the most precise compressor in the world because it's precise down to a cent of a dB. So yeah, absolutely. What do you do with breath in vocal cut or not? Depends. How you most important qualities that a producer and a vocal producer has to have is deciding how much, how many, what to cut, and what to keep. Because those noise like Bella, I couldn't have a better gym than that, because with her, you take away one breath and half of the emotion goes away. You leave one mouth click too much and it becomes annoying. So that is not a yes or no question or cut or not question. That is a 100% taste and experience that will tell you how many, when to cut, when to not cut, what a singer emotion and in the delivery. John 415, one of our members. Hi David, have you mixed on an SSL Origin console? No, I didn't mix on an Origin. I mix on 4K, I mix on 9K, but not on Origin. No. It is a good console though. I actually, me and my colleague, we were thinking about opening a second studio here in LA and putting a console in there, and it might have been either the Origin or the Neve Genesis. We're still up in the air. David, when you clip the AD Plus, do you still use a plugin limiter after it? Yes, usually yes. Usually my limiting stage are probably 3 or 4. David, any thoughts on the Smart C Plus? Smart C Plus is another SSL clone on the greedy side. A lot of people praised it, and then it kind of fell off grace because other better option came on to the market, like even the Dion. I think it's better, you know. So yeah, it kind of fell out of the map. What is your opinion or prediction about the analog dynamic EQ on the SSL new product versus plugin? That is the question. That is the question. Because dynamic EQs, there is a reason because there are not many hardware dynamic EQs. I actually worked with one, Joe Vizzetti, my friend, showed me one very rare that he has at a Cherokee studio here in Hollywood. I don't remember the name. I should call him and ask him. But that's the thing. Dynamic EQs in the hardware world are very rare for a reason. So the question is exactly that, is how good is going to be in real life use that dynamic EQ. Because if it's good, then it's a big thing. Now, for what I heard from the video, so take it with a grain of salt, I wasn't a big fan of the top end and how I was dealing with the top end. But also it was a mix. Also, I didn't set it, so my settings could be different. So the low end was kind of what I was expecting. I like that they added the low THD, so it doesn't stutter and distorts the low end. But I wasn't a fan of the top end. It's kind of funny because I do like the HF compressor on diffusion, but that's a compressor. The dynamic EQ is a bit different. So that is the question that it needs to be seen when I get my hands on the unit, Again, if you want your question pop up first, use the super chat. Any suggestion for a good AD converter for first analog equipment? My AD converter is the dangerous. I can only advise that because that's my choice. I tried them all, and that's what I preferred. Hi, David. Speaking of compressor, I am drummer who does remote session. I currently track with Neve API preamps and looking to add a compressor for tracking. Any suggestions? SSL looks good. Well, what do you want to put? So hold on, you're doing remote sessions, so you give the record parts for other people. Unless the producer tell you to use a compressor, you don't use a compressor. Because if I hire you to play a drum part and you put a compressor on your stuff without me telling you, we have a problem. You have to redo the tracks. All right? So with that said, if they give you full control, full artistic control of your recordings, in that case, yes, you can use a compressor. But also the SSL is a stereo compressor. It's meant for 2 bus. It can be used for drums, but I wouldn't really use it. I would look into the Empirical Lab Fatso for that, right? Because it's more like what I use on my drum bus along with the API 5500. But also, where are you gonna put? Like, are you gonna put the compressor on the entire drum bus? They should usually when you hire a drummer, they want single tracks, so it'll be confusing. But definitely Empirical Lab Fatsos for that. All right. Again, you want your question pop up first, use the super chat. What is your best master comp in case of glue together buses to one? It depends on the genre. Like I said before, which are my several 2-bus compressors. Noir Blanc V, thank you so much for the donation, man. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. All right. We have one of our members, Leroy Gibbs II. How do we get the premium courses discount again? Write to bookinghfs@gmail.com. So in the description, so it's bookinghfs@gmail.com. You ask like, hey, I'm a member. I want a discount for the courses. Give me one. And my SSL Academy, my courses, we have special discounts for you. So yeah, I announced this in the Facebook group, in the private Facebook group, and also I think somewhere else, but I don't remember. And I'm announcing it. Would you consider making tutorials like your old videos are great and the podcast too? The problem with those is they get no views. So unfortunately, if I want to keep the channel going, it's mandatory. Otherwise, it's costing me money, like a lot. So those videos don't get anything. They don't get views, because if I spend half a day or one full day doing a mixing video for YouTube, and it gets like 1,000 views instead of me doing a stupid ass fucking video on a stupid ass subject gets 20,000 views. I only have to do the mixing video, and if you can donate, it's simply because otherwise I can't be here answering your question, guys. So it's thanks to people like Noir Blanc and Mark T that donate, and all the members of the channel are the reason because the channel is still alive. Because YouTube is a shit show otherwise. What is my okay? What's your favorite mastering limiter? Depends on the track. Usually limiter number 6, invisible limiter V2, ozone maximizer. And with that said, I don't use digital limiters that much, just because I have other means to limit my tracks. HD2, my mastering compressor, my mastering converter, and so on. I sincerely hope that you wouldn't like the SSL Bus Plus, because every time you liked a gear after a test, I almost bought in 2, and I'm literally broke. And not even a pro, just broke musician we got. Well, look, I'm not giving the SSL Bus thumbs up yet, just because I just saw it. I knew of it, and I didn't try it. Judgment. But let's wait, because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's a proven design. All right, there's no question about it. It's the SSL comp. You can't go wrong with that. And this one seems to have a lot of like cool features. And it's true that it's priced. I think it's priced well. It's priced reasonable. What are you gonna buy for less than $3,000 out there for 2-bus, like serious 2-bus compressor? So it's a good contender. It is better than the NG. I don't know. Yes, it has the dynamic EQ, but it lacks the digital recall. It has the NG looks still a winner for me, between the two. It also because it's a full-blown mastering compressor. How do you justify solid-state logic fusion stereo analog color master processor when the plugins the same in every shout out I've seen? Sure, you have an analog drive, but there's not worth 2000. Well, so this is the problem. The fact that you can't hear the difference between the plugin and the soft and the hardware, it doesn't mean that there's no difference. A lot of people can't hear the difference, but that's their problem. And just like not everyone can be a mix engineer, it's okay. Just like not everybody can be a doctor, all right? Or not everybody can be a mechanic. If you can't hear the difference, don't worry about what I have, and don't worry about what I use. I promise you, I can hear a lot of difference, and my clients too. If you don't hear the difference, don't worry about it. I don't worry about the fact that you don't have the hardware. I don't come to you and ask you like, hey, are you deaf? Why are you using the plugins? They sound like shit compared to the hardware. I don't do that. Why people do the opposite? Why people ask like people with hardware, oh, why you have $3,000 to sound the same? Well, for you sound the same. For mixing engineers who buy gear, they don't sound the same. And it's normal if some people can't hear the difference. It's completely normal. So don't worry about it. What do you think about the native? I didn't try the SSL native plugins yet. I should receive them soon. So as soon as I get them, I'll let you know. What do you like the Shadow Hill mastering compressor? No, I don't. It's insanely overpriced. It's basically an SSL compressor with an opto on top of it, for which I personally would have no use for in mixing or mastering, like on the 2-bus or mastering. That's just me. I just don't like opto compressors on the 2-bus or mastering. I prefer a Varimu or every other topology, and it's priced stupid. It's priced stupid. And I've said this before. It looks cool. But the HD2 looks cool too. The SPL looks cool. The NG looks cool. There's no freaking way that it's like literally an SSL compressor with 2 transformers and an opto on top of it. No, come on. I did not try the SSL native plugins. All right, I'm waiting for them to come here, and I will tell you as soon as I get it. Sin Beyond, thank you for the donation, man. Much appreciated. If you have a question, your question goes first. There was a question that I was looking at. What instruments do you tend to use the Heritage 609 on? Synth bass. It's amazing on synth bass. 90% of the time is like synth bass and sub B bass. It's awesome. Even just touching it a little bit, like 1-2 dB of compression. The compression is not really what interests me there. It's just the color of the box is like awesome. Yeah, so that one. That's any kind of synth bass. Why is perceived loudness of 2 different mixes even if LUFS is the same? Well, look at my videos on loudness and I will tell you why. That is my entire argument. Your question, Jamie-san, is my entire argument. That has been my argument for years now as to why the stupid S14 LUFS guidelines are bullshit. Because 2 mixes can have the same LUFS and they can have the same peak limit, nominal peak level, and even RMS. And one will shit on the other because it will sound louder. Because it's a matter of harmonic content, because it's a matter of density, because it's a matter of how the frequency spectrum is balanced, and it's a matter. There's so many variables as to why a mix sounds louder than you know, another. You can't look at the analyzer and mix. You need to hear what you're doing, right? So that's the reason why people pay engineers like me. You know, because even if you match the LUFS, so why my mix doesn't sound like that? Why my master doesn't sound like that? Well, because there's 20 years of experience that you're missing. That's why. And I'm not trying to be an ass and not answering your question, but there's no answer to it. The answer is literally shadow me, sits next to me for 6 months and see me working on 50 mixes and 100 masters, and then you get an idea of why, you know. There's no other way. You can't bypass experience. You can't bypass time under the bar, in this case the hardware. Leroy Gibbs second. Dave, appreciate all you do. Finally got my Heritage as Symphony EQ. Still getting used to it. Sweet, just in line. Where is your chain? Where in your chain do you find it? Before or after compressor on the mix bus? Well, think about this. I have 7 equalizers. 7 hardware equalizer. So my place for the Symphony EQ might not be the same that is for you, right? With that said, my Symphony EQ usually comes before compression, and the reason because it comes before compression, it's because of its filters. The Symphony EQ has my absolutely favorite filters. So if I want to trim like 22K at the top and 15 hertz at the bottom, I do that before compression. You know, just because it's natural not to want those frequencies to hit the compressor because you don't want them in the first place. So that's why. But I also have the Mag EQ that comes after the compressor, and I can switch these. So that's my reasoning for putting it before the compressor. But again, mine is a different situation, okay? Because I have 7 EQs. Some are pre and some are post. Did you ever get complaints of a developer when you did not hype their plugin? You are someone that also shows the downside of a plugin. Oh yes, I did. It doesn't really happen that often, simply because look, I have more work than I can handle, both for the videos and the mixing and the mastering, like more. So if a company happens that they they come to me to review a plugin or something, and I don't like it, I'm just gonna turn it down, and I'm gonna say like, look, I don't think I'm the right guy for you, because at the end of the day, I'm not here to shit on anybody. If a product doesn't click with me, I just don't review it. If I show the downsides of a plugin or a piece of hardware or something, it's actually should be welcomed by companies, and that's what happens with companies. Like for the Kirchhoff EQ, right? They literally ask me like, David, like what can we do better, right? Because at the end of the day, I think I'm a little bit competent, and I've tried basically everything that is on the market at this point. I do consult for companies. So if I show the downside of something, it should be taken as, hey, he's kind of right. Maybe we could fix that or make it better. Only once happened that I candidly said that plugin, I didn't even shit on the plugin. I just simply said it wasn't impressive, and it was kind of like not up to par with their other stuff, and like it was a shit storm happened. And maybe one day I'll tell the story about it. But yeah, only once happened like something nasty, and it's like I'll talk about it some other time. David, what do you think on the Danger Liaison? I think it's a good unit. With the Flock, I actually have no use for something like that, because the Flock audio patch bay allows you to do much more. That's simple. I use plugin because I can't afford gear. Oh, okay. So I don't think, guys, I realize this. Nobody gives a damn, what everybody uses. Especially like people with, like, again, I said it before. Do you see people with analog going to people that don't have analog and shit on them because they don't have analog? No. Best multiband saturator plugin, Ozone Exciter. Let's see. Thoughts on Flatline? Flatline, the clipper, is the same as the Sear clipper. And another one. They use the same algorithm. If you want a clipper and much more, I cannot say anything more than this, but you should definitely keep an eye on the channel, because I'm this way. Save your money. I'm telling you now. Don't complain later. Save your money, because you're gonna need them soon. It's not even that much, so. Peacock. I just ordered one of our members. I just ordered a new Stam audio in 1176. I have a hunch that you did too. Did you already hear it in action? It's coming here. The new 1176 tube. I don't need to hear it. I know it's badass. I know it's badass because Josh is a friend, and he kept me updated on the new production and the new things. There's more to come from Stam audio that is amazing. And I'm waiting for it to come. He's sending me one, and I don't need to hear it. I have the Stam, the SA, 76 ADG, and it's the best 1176 I've ever tried. So this one is gonna just be just as mind blowing. And the fact that he built an 1176 with a tube in it, a separated circuit that you can activate just pulling the output knob, is like, psh. The guy is a madman, and is a good kind of madman. Is a fucking genius, So yeah, it's I should be here by the end of the month. Okay, again, guys, if you want your question to pop up first, use the super chat, because I can't obviously keep up, and I have another 15 minutes here, and then I'll have to go. because Chris is calling. Okay, so is the new bus box from SSL plug-in tweakable via USB? No, it's not. Some professional engineers say do not compress everything, do not make it a habit. Can you give 2 examples when not to compress? Oh, it's hard to tell. I can, because there's not like, oh, this element you never compress it. I really can't think of like maybe some synths that they come already like, and you want a little bit of movement or something, but I can't really think of it. Hello, David. I know you have the STAM audio, but what do you think about the Black Lion Blue? A good choice regarding its price point. I don't know how much is the STAM audio. Sorry, the Black Lion Blue. I don't know how much money is that. I can tell you one thing though. I used to work with a real old blue face, and the STAM audio is spot on. The air revision is like spot on, and it's amazing because the pots don't crack. As opposed to the vintage units that you have like to punch the input and output to make, you know, them stop like hissing and crackling, and you have to go like this because they always crack. But it's hard to beat the STAM audio because you have 3 revisions in one, you know. And I don't know how much is the Black Lion is priced, but unless it's like $600 less than STAM audio, the STAM audio is going to still win, you know. And plus there's the new one with the tube in it, which is, again, I was saying a minute ago, it's mind-blowing. But I don't have direct experience with the Bluey. Okay, guys, I really have to go. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Are you gonna get the SSL Bus? Sorry if you answered. I'm not gonna get it. I'm gonna try it, and then we'll go from there. Focusrite, Liquid Channel, 2 of them linked up from master. Wow. Focusrite, Liquid Channel. You brought up something that has like what is like 15 years old or something. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Acoustica Clipper. A better clipper is coming out. I'm telling you guys, save your, something amazing is coming up. It's beyond what you can imagine. I can't say more, and it's way more than a clipper. Okay. If you had to choose plugins of one developer only, mix and master, would you choose Waves? Like, why you have to choose one? Why, you have a gun on your head? Would be definitely, oh shit, you can't pick one. Softtube, Sonox, and MacDSP in orders. Softtube and MacDSP first, Sonox. Okay. Do you still use the console one, and do you think it's good for in the box mixing setup? It's right here next to me, and I use it every day. It's amazing. It's really good. It cut my plugin use by a lot. It cut my plugin use in almost half. Granted that I have a shitload of gear now, like even more than I had before, but the console one cut my plugin list when mixing in half. Because it's so, first of all, it sounds amazing, and second, it's so convenient to have everything there. And with the console one, you have like this, the possibility of building your old channel strip. You know, you can have like the saturation of the Chandler with an SSL compressor and a Summit EQ. It's so convenient. It's great. I absolutely love console. I wish there was a better integration with Pro Tools, because it's kind of a bitch when you switch tracks or you change tracks order in Pro Tools that it doesn't follow, and that's, I hope something will get something that will get like fixed, and at one point we'll have perfect integration. But I also don't believe it, because Avid wants to sell their controllers. Pickup West Audio has an 1176 with 2 revisions. Do you have experience with that one? No, I never had that one from Wes. I never had that one. How important is the AD plus? If I'm just mixing, not mastering, I got AD plus, but now I'm thinking black box will give me more use. Well, if you don't have a good converter when you capture your hardware, what the heck do you have hardware for? It doesn't work like that. Your chain is gonna be as strong as your weakest link. So, is the black box a great unit? Yes, it is. But don't sell the 80 plus to buy that one, because then you're gonna need a converter. It's gonna go around in circle. Even if you mix, because if you use the 80 plus to print your mixes, then you know. Once you go out of the box, it doesn't matter if you mix or master. Of course, when you master, it's a lot more important. But it would be kind of pointless to downgrade your converter to get the AG2, you know. Symbiont, thank you so much for the donation, man. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Guys, 5 minutes, last 5 minutes, and then I have to go. A mic less than $1,000 US for vocals, acoustic guitar, and percussion. Shure SM7 or MD441. MD. I would go with either Roosevelt Audio, the Mini K, but not the 818 that I have, because that's more than $1,000. But because that mine is dual capsule, you should get the mono, the one only capsule, the cardioid only. And I think it's within $1,000. I think it's 800 or something. Those would be, both the Roosevelt and the Austrian Audio would be much better choice than definitely of the MD. And the Shure SM7 is a good mic, but it really kind of weird to have like only a dynamic for vocals and acoustic guitar. You know, percussion, yeah, it's a great choice, might be a first choice. Again, you probably want something a little more detailed. Range compressor, I just know of it, never tried it or heard it or whatever. I have no opinion on that. I have Motu conversion and it's good. Yes, it is good. It is good. I don't know what else you have other than the 80 plus. It is definitely good. You can definitely use it. Have you tried MacDSP APB? What are your thoughts? I didn't. I just got the full bundle from MacDSP, and I'm beyond impressed with their stuff. I mean, I knew it. I already had a lot of stuff from MacDSP, but now I have like everything. I didn't try the APP. I probably will soon, and as soon as I do, we'll probably feature it, and and I'll tell you my opinion. I know this: the MacDSP makes no mistakes. The APB is a strange unit, because it's a great thought, because you basically have a bunch of hardware analog channels in one box, and it saves space and it's everything. At the same time, it kind of takes away part of the beauty of having analog. So, but for actual professionals who don't care about the wow factor, it's an insanely brilliant design. I'll know how it sounds soon enough, so because we just started to work with MacDSP together. They're awesome people. All right, last questions. Ever play with Studio One and try to mix and master in it? Nope. Why would I do it? I don't have any reason. As much as I dislike Pro Tools for some things, I would not change DAW. It's unthinkable for me to change DAW, just for a bunch of factors. Not just learning the new DAW that will require time, and in that time I would be a lot slower, and I can't afford that right now. I have too much stuff to do. But just the integration with the analog, with the hardware, it takes a little bit to try to understand how another DAW works with this much hardware and integration with it and latency and problems like that. So no, I don't have any use or interest in, you know, learning even Studio One or trying it. I don't have any clients that work with Studio One. I never have. I never encounter anybody in the business that works with Studio One. So I really don't. I have some people that were like Chris, for example. He uses Luna here and there, so I have to learn some of it. I have a bunch of people that work with Logic, but Studio One, nobody that I've known. Is the Art Pro VLA II worth it to start with outboard gear? Yes, it's a good fun unit. You're not gonna get broke buying it. You know, you're gonna change it probably in 2 years, but it's gonna get you going, like you said. Most people mix and master themselves. Should it be mixing through mastering chain in mix stage, or should it be done mastering separately, like after like doing 2 people's job? What you suggest? I suggest that makes no difference. If you mix and master your own stuff, it's the same everything. What 500 series module didn't impress? Oh, a lot. I can't list all of them. I was a little headroom, and it's not a problem for all the 500 series because I actually asked them about it. Because when I had the X filters before selling it, I asked them like, hey, does the rack version has more headroom? And they were like, nope, it's the same because the design is this. So I was a little, you know, underwhelmed by it. Same for some of the Shadow Shields modules. How good is Lynx Aurora ADD side and is enough to handle hardware? Yes, is enough to handle hardware for sure. But the Aurora in particular, at least, oh, you say the N. The N is great. It's a great compressor. The old Aurora was like, it was getting so hot you could cook eggs on top of it. It was insane. Austria, hello. All right, guys, I gotta go. BA, since the Universal Audio Vault Comp 76 is based on the 1176, do you think that's a good way to save a bit of cash and still get some analog color to your mixes? I guess it can hurt. I don't know how it is. Color to your mixes. Is this a stereo comp inside the unit? Because I thought it was like a 76, like a 1 mono channel or maybe 2 on the. If you want to track with it, it's good enough for tracking. Yeah. I never tried it, but how hard is it? I mean, they've been making 76s for their entire existence, so how hard is it to put a little, I want to say, watered down or kind of compact version of 76 in channels? Shouldn't be that hard. I'm pretty sure it's not the same as having a full-blown 176. All right. Expensive plugin versus cheaper hardware. For the most part, expensive plugins. Because cheaper hardware, it won't do any good to you. You know, middle of the road hardware, those pieces that are like clones but are not clones and they cut corners. I don't think it's a good investment. You're gonna lose money because you're gonna sell it eventually and realize they're not that great, and you're gonna lose a lot of money by doing that because they don't hold value. While plugins today are great. You know, they are great. People are under the impression that I hate plugins. Guys, I review more plugins than anybody else probably, but I review the good ones, and plugins are great. So if your choice is between like Softube or, you know, Pulsar Modular or MacDSP and a shit piece of hardware, just get the plugins. Will get you a lot further. All right, guys. What's a good school for mix and mastering? My channel and becoming a member. Thank you everybody for being in the live stream, and we'll replay this on the channel soon. You guys stay safe, and before I go, there's an